Whether your beer is in a bottle, can, or glass, kick back and relax. It's Better on Draft.
Hello and welcome to Better on Draft. My name is Rob. I am one of your hosts today. And with me is Wendy. Hey, Wendy, how are you doing? What are you drinking?
I am fantastic, and I am drinking a Evil Twin Brewing from New York City Disco Party.
Nice.
It is a double IPA with Sauvignon Blanc, grape juice, and the hops are Citra and Nelson. It's delicious.
Nice. And I'm glad you're fantastic.
I have something to follow up with it, too, if you want me to talk about it now.
Sure.
I have a Transient Artisan Ales Peach Cobbler Smolverine.
Nice.
It is a peach cobbler sour.
Excellent. I've had a couple of those Smolverines around my house once or twice.
There is a lot of them at the local right now.
Nice. I am drinking, I didn't save the can of it, but this is a beer brewery, Weizengut. They're Hefeweizen. It is, I think, the first beer I ever tried brewing as a home brewer. It might be the second beer I ever tried brewing as a home brewer. It was the same recipe, put in great fermentations where I learned to brew. And so with us today, we have our guest, Seth from Elm Street Brewing, and we might have a surprise guest later. We're working on that. But for now, hey, Seth, how are you? Who are you?
Good.
What
How
are
you guys doing? I'm drinking a West Coast IPA from Burial out of Asheville, North Carolina. This is where you will find yourself, is what it's called.
Good find. Are they distributing up here, or did you?
No, I was in Asheville about a month ago at this point. Through COVID, they used to ship into Indiana.
I remember
but then that dried up, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, excellent. So Seth, you come from Elm Street Brewing. Who are you? What do you do for Elm Street Brewing?
I'm their head brewer. I've been the head brewer for about a little bit over 7 years now. We had one brewer before me. I was his assistant, and now he moved on, and I took over, and they can't get rid of me now. So,
okay. So, how did you get into brewing to begin with?
Probably not the typical way, I guess. I did one homebrew by myself. A long time ago, my oldest brother bought me a Mr. Beer kit, and it's like bottom of the barrel homebrew kind of kit thing. And I brewed one beer on it, and I hated it. The beer didn't turn out well. It was, I was kind of disappointed in it, and I was like, well, I guess this isn't for me. But before that, I was really into beer. I was working at a liquor store through college that we did a lot of craft beer with. And so I tried my hand at it. I'm like, oh well, like not a big deal. And then just when I learned that Elm Street was going to be a thing, I popped in there and started brewing with the original head brewer before we even had real equipment. And I was just trying to learn from him. I was really interested in getting like my Cicerone at the time. And so I thought that like I needed to learn how to brew beer to do it, and ended up really liking it. And then Elm Street turned into a thing, and it just all kind of fell together. I just kind of fell into it almost. Learned on the job, and so maybe not typical.
So you wandered into a brewery and became a brewer.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah. One of the age old tales, like, hey, let me sweep the floors, and then like a year and a half later they're like, take this all, figure it out.
I have a quick question that I just want to interrupt. You said you were studying to be a Cicerone. Are you a Cicerone?
I went through the certified beer server, but I never took the next test. Around the time Monarch, who's one of the big distributors here in Indiana, if you got in with them, they would pay for the test. And so it was in my head, that's kind of what after I graduated college, that was kind of the path. And then I was like, oh, brewing's fun. and this is a thing that's going to be opening up soon. And so I was Elm Street's first employee. We, I helped like do some demolition of the building. I helped do a little bit of construction. There's times where I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing right now, but it all ended up working out pretty well.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah.
So actually, there's kind of a lot there, but
yeah,
A lot.
So you didn't. All right, you went from college. You thought you were going to work for Monarch, or you did work for Monarch.
No, I thought I would. Yeah, so I worked at a liquor store in town, like right off campus. So Muncie's got Ball State University.
That's what I was going to ask. Okay, so
yeah, and so I was paying my way through the last little bit of college while I was working there, and kind of realized like I'm getting out of practice of what I was going for my degree, and I have audio production degree. But the last like 3 or 4 years that I was at Ball State, I wasn't doing it. I already took those classes, and I was kind of getting nervous. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do, and so I ended up falling into running the store that I worked at for like 7 years before then. I worked there for about 10 years, and really turned into like a whole like it was a very craft beer centric store. But once I took over, my buddy that had the place before me, he really started pushing the craft beer. He's like one of the guys that got me into craft beer. But then when I took over, we like really was like, I don't care about anything else. Like we're just doing as much craft beer as we possibly can.
Man, I love those stores.
Yeah. Like we had 17 cooler doors of craft and imports, and you can take singles out of anything and make your own 6-pack out of anything. And so it was like the best way to. Oh yeah, it's like I got to try everything that way, without having to buy a 6-pack or a 4-pack and having one sip and going, oh, I don't like this. What am I going to do now?
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I have multiple craft beer stores around me, and I will go out of my way to go to the one that allows me to buy singles.
Oh yeah,
it costs more.
Yeah,
I think it's more economical for me because I don't always like it. So I would rather buy 1 or 2 of something and go back and get something that I actually like and be able to try them. So
yeah, especially for me, like I was brand new to it. I didn't know what I liked, so, I'm going through going, well, I guess maybe IPAs aren't for me, don't really like stouts at the time, and just kind of went through the progression to finally find something I like. I think I probably settled on like Belgian beer for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Got my heart.
Eventually, I got to the IPAs and the stouts, like probably kind of late, but better late than never.
That's right.
Everyone's journey is their own.
When you like everything, that kind of helps if you're going to be brewing everything.
Yeah.
I think we only have, I can think of 2 decent craft beer stores near me right now. Like we have a Total Wine, and they're good. But like, I wouldn't call it a craft beer store though, because it's everything.
Yeah.
But then there's Cons on the east side, and I love them. And they're also not technically a craft beer store, but they do a really good job with their craft beer selection. And there's one on the south side, Party Pack, I think is its name. I haven't been there for a while. They also do a really good job with their beer selection.
Yeah, both like Cons and Party Pack and like the 2010, 2011, it was like you go in there and it's like, what in the world? And like I was coming from a place with a lot of beer, and I'd just be like, where are you guys getting this stuff from? Just like things that I've heard about that, that we can never get our hands on. Going in there and buying it all up,
The pinnacle to me still is Jungle Jim's, and I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure, but their beer selection is insane.
Yeah, I've never been. Everyone's told me you need to go.
It's just nuts. I don't think I've seen anywhere like it with that kind of selection. But anyway, so Ball State. It sounds like you've been in Muncie for a while. So can you tell us about Muncie?
Yeah, I mean it's a college town, right? So I think when I was on campus, the joke was like Muncie's got 20,000 people, but 40,000 people when school's in session. So it's kind of like how Steve from Burnham was talking about how Michigan City is kind of a tourist spot. We're kind of the opposite. In the summer, it's like a ghost town. It's nice at times, but then once the kids come back, it's like okay, yeah, there's like some energy again, and there's stuff a little more things happening. But just we're an hour south of Fort Wayne, an hour north of Indy, an hour west of Dayton. So we've got some decent big cities around us, and it just kind of all the little neighborhoods kind of remind me of home. I'm originally from like Northwest Indiana, and so it's just it was for me a perfect distance where I could run home if I need to, but like no one's gonna drop in on me, and so it's just kind of like perfect for me. But yeah, I've been in Muncie. Yeah, I've been in Muncie for more than half my life now, which is crazy to kind of say out loud.
Right. So my kids, when they were little, we had a family membership to Minnetrista up there.
Oh yeah,
is I guess not quite on the Ball State campus, but there are some Ball State buildings there, and I think the Ball Museum is on the grounds there too.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a beautiful property. They do some really cool stuff out there. They've got a lot of events throughout the year and farmers market every Saturday morning, I believe, and just cool. There's a lot of really cool things about Muncie for it being a small town. And I just think that, especially with Ball State, like when I was going to Ball State, like I didn't venture off campus much, it's downtown's for the adults. It's scary, and it's cool. We're starting to see college kids kind of come to Elm Street more often, and even just other places downtown that are kind of, they're kind of looked at as more like craft beer places. So Muncie's got a cool craft beer scene. The Herat has been a staple. I think named one of the best craft beer bars in like early 2000s, a couple years in a row.
Is that the one on top of a hotel or something like that?
No,
something else.
Yeah, I think that one's maybe 1925 Pub House is like a little bar, like restaurant underneath the hotel.
Okay.
But the Herat's like a Viking themed bar. They've got like, they used to, you would go in there, they had like a book of beer, and it would just be, you'd just pick up like crazy stuff. I think when Burnham did a collab with us, we took them over there, and they had a 1989 like John Hardy or something like that, like a English barley wine. And we bought it, and Steve was like, I was born in 1989. This is crazy. It's like, yeah, that's kind of wild, or it might have been 86 or something, but it was whatever year he was born. It was like, we just sat there and drank it. And it's like, so that just is here, huh? I'm like, yeah, it's kind of the allure of the place,
How far is that from Elm Street?
5-minute drive, we're not really in walking distance necessarily, but nothing in Muncie is that far away from each other, really.
Yeah, I used to live in a college town, and it was a lot like that. I think it was 8,000 permanent residents, but it was a university of 18,000 students.
Yeah.
Well, when you're in a college town, everything is in walking distance.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Especially when you're in college, I mean.
Right.
Now that I'm older, I don't know,
Now that I'm older, I'm like, I'm going to drive over there.
Yeah. Uber back if I need to, whatever,
The fact that you said he was born in 1989 or 1986 kind of just made me feel really old. I'm just going to point that out.
Hey, yeah, Wendy, what do you got coming up?
50.
Yeah, hooray. All right. So I'm gonna give Wendy a chance here in a second, but so how did Elm Street Brewing come to be? Like, how did it get opened? And
so let's see. So we're in a neighborhood that was kind of forgotten by Muncie. The first time I ever went in, so I got the word of it through working at the liquor store. Tyler, the head brewer before me, he was one of my good beer customers, and he would come in every Friday and buy like 5 or 6 bombers. And I'm like, dude, what are you, eventually I had to be like, what are you doing? And it's like, oh, I've got some buddies that are starting a brewery, and we're in like the super early stages. So like I'm just trying to get them to like drink a bunch of beer, and so on Friday nights they would do a bottle share there, and he would homebrew and bring in 6-barrel, put it on a kegerator, and then do a whole bottle share with it. And he invited me out there one day, and I had roommates from my freshman year in college up until 10 years later. And it was the first year I didn't have a roommate. And I met Tyler at the liquor store, and he told me about this. And I go home on a Friday night, and I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, I won't know anyone. Don't really want to go there, And then I was just like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't have roommates anymore. I got to do something. So I kind of forced myself to go out there. He gave me the address, and I pulled up to this old brick building, and I'm like, I don't think I'm in the right place. And I'm like, did this guy just like prank me or something? Like, what's going on? And so I called him, and he came out of the front and brought me in there. And I walked in, and I was like, what? Wait, what? Like, the outside of an old beat down brick building on the outside, and I walked in, and it was like gorgeous, And yeah, and I was just like, and I don't even know. I think at the time I didn't really maybe even grasp that they were actually going to do a brewery. Like I thought, like, oh yeah, I'll walk into like a garage, and it's going to be like, oh yeah, we'll eventually get there. But like, it was just this like, it's a like that, and super thick brick walls, and it was the Muncie Ice House. And so they give me a tour of the whole place, and I'm like, this place is massive. Like, and we get to the back, and they had a pretty small room with a walk-in cooler already in there. And I was like, oh, you guys are like serious. Like, you've already got your a cooler. So like, okay, hold on. Like, I thought it was like some like, yeah, we have a couple beers and we talk about, starting a brewery. Like, I didn't think it was like serious. And I met. So at the time there was 3 owners. So it was Tyler, Eric, and then Bill. Since then, Eric and Tyler have moved on, but Bill still owns everything. And they kind of had the same mindset that I had for Muncie, that like all my roommates moved down to Indy, and it was this whole thing. It was like, when are you going to grow up and move down to Indy? And I'm like, I don't know, like at some point maybe, And they were like, we think Muncie is really cool, and we want to try to make it cooler. Like, we want to just try to help 50 extra people in on into Muncie on a Friday night, and then they go see the Hurrah and Savages and Pickle Beach. Like, that's like a win. Like, this is what we want to do. And I'm like, okay, like I'm on this same wavelength as you guys. And since I was at the liquor store, they're like, well, how are you as a sales rep? I'm like, well, okay, but like, I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. So I started brewing with Tyler, after our day job in another brewery here in town. They're a year older than us. And I was complaining about working with college kids. And he's like, hold on for like 2 more months, and I think we might be able to hire you. And so pretty much they hired me in June. We opened up in November. And it's kind of been going straight since. The building, Bill was using it as he had a contracting company at the time. He was using it as to the front door of Elm Street into the first main room. All of the walls are kind of different textures and stuff. And so he would just try something on one wall. Okay, that worked, and go on to the next thing. And then like when he had people coming in and asking him to do stuff, he'd be like, what do you want? Like, do you want a wall like this? Do you want something like this? And so all of his guys did like all of the work. It's all pretty much everything is maintenance, anything like that, which is kind of cool to have. but yeah, and then just the first year, we were 21 and over, no food. You can just bring, you can order food in, bring your own food in. And then since then, like after maybe about after a year, we opened a kitchen. And then right before COVID, we got our three-way, so we have a full bar. So we've got full restaurant, full bar. We do live music at least 3 times a week. Family friendly, but there is a bar that stays 21 and over. And yeah, it's just been kind of it's been a very fast 9 years, I guess.
So tell us a little bit more about that space. When we come to visit you, what are we going to see?
So it's old industrial building. So you walk in, it's all concrete floor. Well, first room's concrete floors. Got cement bar tops, bunch of booths that we've made, repurposed tables, exposed brick, industrial kind of feel. And you go into the next room, it's all wood floors, more exposed brick. Got a bunch of art and stuff on the wall, stuff like that. But it's just kind of the big thing that we would always hear, like when we opened up, would be like, I'd watch people walk in the door and be like, whoa. And they'd come up to me like, this doesn't feel like Muncie. It's like, yeah, that's kind of what we're going for, like we love Muncie, but we're trying to do something different, and it's kind of got like, back then, because it wasn't so much like a restaurant, we had couches, we had like a wood-fired stove, and it was a little more homey maybe. It kind of had like almost like a cabin kind of feel to it almost. Now that we've had to remove the wooden stove, we actually have in our other location now. We removed all the couches and stuff, had to replace them with actual tables. But like we've got a handful of really big tables. We've got a banquet room, so like we do a lot of parties. We're maybe one of the few places that like you can walk in with like 20 people, and you might not have to wait. Like we could seat you guys at the same table, if not tables right next to each other, and it's not a big problem. And so that's kind of like what's really, I think what's really helped helped us thrive is just like parties that are either call ahead, hey, we want to rent out the banquet room, or just like, hey, I've got 12 people coming in on a Saturday night. Like, can you do something? It's like, yeah, we've got 5 different tables that we can put you at. It's not a big deal at all,
So the first location was the Muncie Ice House.
Yes.
The second location was also historical, right?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how old the building that we're talking about is, but it was it was called Hoosier Hearth, back, I think, maybe in like the 60s, maybe 70s, but they were like, just a fireplace. It's about a block away from the restaurant so essentially where our kitchen is now was a giant open room with just tools everywhere, table saws and all this crazy construction stuff, and I'm like, whatever, and we started building out the kitchen, so we had to find a spot to put all these tools. So it got moved over to this other building, and like when they were cleaning it out, they found like these like ceramic logs and like from like the fake fireplaces and stuff like that. And just a couple weeks ago, we had a guy coming in. He was like, kind of walked in and looked at all the brewery equipment, and he's like, you guys can't fix my fireplace, can you? I'm like, no, that's not us. Sorry, man. And he's like, well, this is cool, but I gotta go. And I'm like, okay, like,
sure you don't want a beer first?
Yeah, right. But yeah, and then so like that, right before COVID, we were trying to figure out, we were having just such busy weekends where like it would take maybe an hour and a half to get in the door. And so I was having trouble keeping up on the beer side of things. And I was like, man, I need more space, and our space was just so small. Even just having another person in there was like kind of a hassle. And so right about a few months before COVID, we kind of decided on what we were going to do. And so where our current brewery is at, it's kind of sunken in, like the building we're in was like a giant loading dock essentially. And so it's kind of cool. Like you walk in, you can look down into the brewery. And then if you walk past it, we've got like a glass wall and there's a little bar. And so like we do parties there now. We're not really open there yet. It took a little while for us to, get the build out, figured out, and like just trying to figure out what we wanted to do. And then of course, COVID happened, and then it was like, well, do we want to undertake new construction right now, or do we want to just kind of drag our feet a little bit? Material prices went up, so then it was even more of that, like, well, let's kind of wait it out. And then it just kind of got to the point where I was like, man, I'm chomping at the bit to get out of this little room. It was like the size of a bedroom. It felt like. I mean, I walk in there now. There's no equipment in there. I'm like, this is a pretty decent size. But then I go into where I'm at, and I'm like, oh, I've got so much room. It doesn't even. It's like the easiest thing ever now. And then so when we moved over, we doubled our capacity, and then got glycol. We were cooling everything down with water at the time, which was a headache in itself, and like. Just everything is just moving over has made everything a million times easier. I'm able to have a little bit more help now, and it's not just me trying to run ragged, And so it's been a good change, and the new spaces. I can, I didn't do anything. I didn't do any construction, so I can be like, they did a good job, Yeah. I'm really like the one thing I was like, I just want a bunch of natural light, like. Elm Street being a ice house, there's not a whole lot of windows in there. And I didn't mind it necessarily, but there's, in the summer, I'm like, I don't want to be in here. And now it's like, I go in there, there's more windows than there is walls in the current brewery. And so it's a lot nicer to just, be able to see outside.
Yeah. Is that new space 7 Rock?
Yeah, that's what he's calling it right now, yeah.
Okay. But
for the most part, it's we're just doing parties there. We'll open up, for special events. We did Music Fest about a month ago called Maybell Fest, and so we had both places opened up and had music on both spots. But it's not like fully open yet. We're still kind of trying to figure out what we're gonna what we need to do with it or what we should do with it, I guess.
Right. Yeah, Steve was talking about the music fest that he was having at his place, and so can you tell us more about the music? Because you said you have live music events regularly.
Yeah, we do. We do an open mic night on Tuesdays. We used to do music Wednesdays and Thursdays. I'm not in there anymore Wednesdays or Thursdays, so I don't know if we really do them or not anymore. And then on Friday and Saturday, we usually have music. We have a big backyard, decent little stage back there. And so in the nice months, it was always, just having a band out on a back patio was always pretty nice. And then now that it's getting colder out, we'll have quieter artists in the, for dinner. Still, like not like just a little piano guy or anything, but like a full, either an acoustic guy or maybe, not maybe just not a full band, I guess I would say in the restaurant, just because it could get loud kind of quick and people are trying to have dinner, But yeah, the music fest that we do, we've done it the last handful of years, Maybell Fest, and we book nothing but like female-led bands, or just female singer-songwriters, and so it's just kind of a way to help get their voice out there a little bit more. Yeah. We had I think we had like 4 or 5 muralists fly in, all females. We had an old school bus out in the front of 7 Rock. They painted a big mural all over it and did an awesome job. And so it was a fun day. It's stressful, of course. Events are always stressful, but I think afterwards everyone was like, oh man, like everyone was happy, was the main thing. Yeah. And it's really what we're trying to do, I mean, it's just trying to be like, this whole thing's supposed to be fun, and so that's always a fun event, to get a bunch of people out there and kind of give back to some of the artists and everything like that too.
So are you bringing in a lot of local people, or are you drawing from around?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's mostly local people. there's a handful of like younger guys, mid-20s or whatever, that are, I think, younger guys and girls that are like mid-20s that are trying to like cultivate a music scene here in Muncie. And so we try to help support that as much as we can, but yeah, we'll get anything from like, I mean, we've had guys come down from like Valpo, down from Michigan. We have a couple guys that will come in from, I'm actually not even sure. But it's just like, it's okay. It's Thanksgiving week. I'm here in town to see the family. Can I play on Wednesday or Tuesday or something? Like, yeah, come on in, and it's just a fun little way, it's just something extra. One of the things, before Elm Street, I'd always hear like, there's nothing fun to do in Muncie. There's like a bunch of stuff fun to do. It's just sometimes it's not well advertised, and sometimes that's our downfall also. But also like, it's just one of those things too. It's like if you're not looking for it, you're not gonna, see it anyways. And so if there's, Minnetrista, what we're doing, Guardian does live music. A lot of the other bars downtown do that kind of stuff. So it's like there's a lot of, there could be a cool music scene here that we hope that we can help grow a little bit, at least, whatever we could do, I guess we would say.
Cool.
Let's talk about the beer.
Yeah.
What would you say is your, like, the signature of Elm Street?
I would probably say Citronaut, which is just our like house IPA. That's what I drink the most, honestly. So that's probably why I would say that. But we get a lot of love for our sours also. I think we just kind of like, I was really into sours for a really long time, and I was trying to force them on people for a really long time, and I finally got people to catch on. And so, and I feel like I have a tendency to, if JT was here, he would probably be able to attest to this, but like we start talking about a beer and we just kind of try to take it like, okay, let's just like take it to the extreme. Okay. Like, so, okay. Carrot beer would be good, but what if we did a carrot cake beer? And what if we added, actual whipped cream? And then, okay, what if that would be sour, and then eventually you have to like go, well, okay, hold on, let's bring it back a little bit. Find where it's like realistic, where it might be actually palatable, and then go from there. And I feel like for a long time, I just kept going like, oh, this would be a really good IPA, but like, I like sour IPAs. So maybe I'll make it a sour IPA, and I'd be like, okay, let me chill out on that. And let's, take it a step at a time. But then recently, let's see, beginning of maybe end of July, beginning of August, I had an idea for quite a while. I wanted to make something like American Light Lager, like something very close to a domestic as we could. And we brewed something, and we let it condition for a while, and we tried it, and it was like, oh my god, like this actually like works. Like we can do this, with nothing to hide behind. Those are like the hard beers to do. And so I thought, it's going to be 4 or 5 batches before we can like get to something we're happy with. And we tried it the first time, and it's like, oh my god, like this is it. Like I can't believe. And then it was very concerning because it's like, we got to do this again. And like, we try to take good notes, but you start getting a little nervous about, some of that kind of stuff. And we've pushed it pretty hard this tail end of the summer into now, and it's catching on pretty decent. It's funny because it is like the lightest thing we've ever made, but it's like, yeah, I guess, Muncie still wants something like that. And if I'm happy to give it to him, like, I think it's like, it's a cool, there's like the different regional beers that like, get the people like, glob onto. Like you had like Kentucky Cold Snacks for a while was like this big like hipster beer, or like Olympia or like PBR. And for a while we were talking about trying to do a bunch of carry out. And I was like, oh, we'll bring in like Narragansett or something, and like something to like really, that's like off kind of the beaten path. But we can like maybe make this like Muncie's like hipster beer. And then just like one night, I think maybe me and JT were talking, and he's like, "Wait, why are we going to do that? Like, we make beer, right?" Oh yeah, I guess maybe we can try to do that, And
we
so
make our own.
yeah, and I was just so like, I was thinking of like the 30-pack, and like, I had the specific thought in my head, and then I took that step back, and I'm like, oh yeah, like, hold on, that could be doable. Like I said, it was scary. We've done maybe four batches of it now, and the first one to the second one, it's like, oh man, here we go. But they've been fairly consistent throughout, and the people that are drinking it are happy with it. So that's like the main thing,
You might have said it and I missed it, but what was the name of that one?
Oh, that one was Legends and Lowlifes.
Okay, Legends and Lowlifes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So what is the favorite beer that you've made so far? Not everyone else's favorite, your favorite.
Yeah. So my favorite is probably my first recipe that I did, that I was like did 100% on my own. It was just a sour IPA. New Belgium used to, I don't know if they still do, but they used to do a beer called Le Terroir, and it was a sour IPA. And it was like, I remember the first time I had it, it just like blew my mind. I'm like, I didn't know that this was a thing, And then I think I was probably only brewing for maybe like 3 months at Elm Street, and we did a tap takeover with Urban Artifact, and his name was Scotty, I believe. One of their guys came in, and we got a couple like exclusive kegs from them for this tap takeover, and one of them was a sour IPA, and I was sitting with him and some of my sales reps, and we had dinner and we had a couple beers, and we were all kind of like, it was all kind of tailing off. And I tried the sour IPA for the first time, and I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like, this might be better than Le Terroir. He's like, well, I don't know about that. I'm like, no, it's still good. I was like, I wish I could do something like that. And he's like, dude, you're making decent sours. Like, why couldn't you? And it was just one of those things where I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I never thought about that either, And so the very next, I think that was on like a Friday, the very next Monday, I'm like writing the recipe, getting the hops, trying to figure it all out, brewed it on Wednesday. And then a couple weeks later, it's ready to go. We put it on tap. People are liking it. I fill up a growler and take it to my buddy, Tyler, who was the head brewer before me. I'm like, hey dude, this is my first recipe. Like, I want you to try it. So he pours it out and he takes a drink, and I'm like, dude, it's a mess. I know I need a lot of work. And he's like, no, dude, like it's solid. Like, you don't have to do anything to it. Like, this is like a very good starting point for like your first recipe, And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I did, and I still do really respect his opinion. And so to get that kind of feedback from him, I was like, okay, cool. Like, we're still really good friends. Like, he could have told me, if it sucked, he would have told me it sucked.
Right.
And so he was like, no, like, this is like, you're starting a good spot here, dude. Like, stop freaking out and just like follow what you're trying to do, And so that one was called Reverse Mullet. One of my other my buddy that got me into craft beer actually named it. So I think it's kind of, there's a lot of like sentimental kind of feelings around it maybe also. And we haven't made that beer in forever. So
no,
maybe this will remind me to like, oh, we should probably make that beer again.
Maybe go back to it.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
So if I were to go in, I'm a huge flight girl. So if I were to go in and get a flight, what can I expect from your brewery?
So usually we have a handful, like I always try to keep a couple IPAs on tap. Like our menu, not so much like the Elm Street side, but we have a bunch of guest beer. And so our menu is kind of broken down from like light, hoppy, dark, and other. Another could be, a sour, it could just be a pumpkin beer or something, it's whatever, And so we try to kind of keep a nice balance in those categories, just to make sure that like, there's been times where we've gotten really behind, and we've only had like maybe like 7 or 8 beers on, and I'm like, beating myself up over it because I want people to be able to come in and get something at least something that they would like, and like there's a couple styles we don't usually do. Like we don't ever really do like red ales or ambers, but I'll bring them in from, someone else. And then like a lot of times, like, so when we first opened, Tyler was doing a lot of like very high concept beers. But we didn't have food, so it wasn't really that big of a deal. And now that we've got food, it's one of those things where I'm like, I've got some goofy ideas, but I'm like, well, I don't know if that's okay. I've already got a kind of a weird beer or two on right now, so let's like put that in the kind of the back. And so like right now, I think we've got maybe Citronaut, which is like kind of leans like New England, but it does have a little bit maybe more bitterness. We've got a double IPA with terpenes. We've got a pale ale with anchovy hops, kind of a newer hop variety. And I guess we do lack a little bit on the stouts, though. I'll say we get really good feedback on our stouts, but I obsess about them so much that they end up not being that fun for me. And so we've got a couple stouts going right now. So colder months, we will have a couple stouts coming out. JT just brewed his second beer without me, and it was a Czech dark lager. And so, sorry if you heard that. My dog's barking. Yeah, I have a puppy, and he's a handful.
It's okay. We like dogs.
We do like dogs.
Hey, Watson, come here. Sorry. Yeah. But yeah, and so we try to stay in some of the, we're a small brewery, so we get to do kind of some of the fun stuff that some of the big guys don't get to do. And then we've started doing even smaller batches than what we usually do. And so we put out like our first like forged beer earlier this year, where we have a black raspberry bush in our backyard that we just threw about 4 weeks in the summer. Just went through and just picked them, froze them, put them in a beer. It's gone now, but it was, it was good. The guy that does our art, Ben Blakely, he's kind of got a knack for foraging. So we've been talking about going to some of his like mushroom spots, because I don't know if mushroom beers are really much of a thing anymore, but like 8 or 9 years ago, they were pretty hot for like a month or two, maybe.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting to get back to that for a minute.
Time to catch that trend.
Exactly. Yeah. And I've never had one, so maybe it's just going to be terrible. But it's one of those where I've always wanted to be like, I gotta try one of those, and now no one does them. So
that one sounds like it would be great for an event, like a food and beer pairing.
Yeah.
Situation.
So you keep mentioning weird beers. What do you consider a weird beer?
I mean, we do sour double IPA that's key lime pie inspired. So key lime, marshmallows, and graham cracker. I also we do electrolyte sour. So tastes like fruit punch.
Okay.
Uses a specific kind of powder of sports drink powder, I guess we'll call it.
Gotcha.
And then like we've done like soda sours. We've got a white IPA on right now. Black cherry, cocoa nibs, cinnamon, I think. But yeah, so like I guess it might not be that weird.
I think you listed some pretty weird stuff.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, like the bigger cities, like I was in Asheville, and we're going kind of brewery hopping, and I'm like, oh cool, I've done one of those, and I've done something like that, and like I feel like I'm on like the same wavelength at that point, and like okay, I'm not like super far off base at least, but like so to me they're in my head they're not really that weird, but I get if you're like not super into beer, or like Muncie like isn't super like it's way better now, but like when we opened, like no one had a hazy IPA before. Like we had people sending them back going like something's wrong with your IPA. Like, no, we swear we did that on purpose, you know.
And just made so many people happy when you said that.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
It used to be a flaw.
Right. Well, yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Now the flaw is like, why is this clear? Like, what are we doing? You know.
That's right. We've now made a hazeless IPA.
Yeah. Right.
Just an IPA.
Yeah. Pretty much. Right.
I think it was.
love it.
I've already lost the name, but the Citra beer. I think
Citronaut.
Citronaut. I think is one that you brought to the thing that I met you at.
Yeah. Caleb's Sugar Creek. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so all of our beer is made with Sugar Creek malt. He's about an hour and a half away. So since the beginning, we met him. He was awesome. It's like, okay, we're never gonna not use his malt. You know. As long as he's willing to put up with us and drive to Muncie, we'll use his malt, you know? And, I think, too, it's just like, it's cool that it is that close. One, just from, like, smaller footprint, kind of feel like you're, supporting local, even though he's not, he's an hour away, but it's still local enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just like, his, what he's doing is top notch. And so, like, I feel like you can't, like, you can make good beer with cheap malt if you want to, like, if you're good enough, but I'll use really good malt and make okay beer, and, that's good enough, right?
Right. Yeah. It's starting to get late, but I wanted to touch on Seven Rock. It sounds like it's going to be a coffee shop and the brewery. Is that right?
That's kind of the thought right now. Yeah. Or that was the original thought. We do have a giant coffee machine in there. And yeah, it's mainly the big thing was to get the brewery out of the restaurant. And we're still, like I said, we've got a party there tonight, or else I would probably be doing this from there. But it's a real nice space. So like we book it for parties quite often. And so it's kind of hard to like, all right, let's go like back under construction to like finish this thing when it's almost booked almost every weekend, And so it's kind of we're kind of stuck in like a weird.
It might have found a different niche than what you thought it was going to have.
Yeah. And it's awesome, like, because, before we had that space, we would get people asking for, hey, I want to have 60 people on a Friday night. Our banquet room only has like space for 40. And so you go, well, like, we can give you half the restaurant, but like, I don't think you want to pay for that. And now it's like, oh, we'll just take you right down the street. And a lot of people haven't seen it yet, and so like, it's really cool. Like I was in there as the party was coming in, and it's like, I'm trying to get everything together to leave, but I'm seeing people going in like, oh wow, like what the heck is this place? Like why aren't they open? Like, because it is, again, it's just another one of those things where it's different than anything else in Muncie.
Are there any Garfields in any of your places?
No, actually not. We're probably slacking on that. No Bob Ross either, actually. So yeah, we are not representing Muncie very well, unfortunately. We'll have to change that.
I saw there was a Bob Ross Center, was I think just down the street from you.
Yeah, Minitrista does like a Bob Ross thing over there also.
Okay.
So that might be actually what it is, because Minitrista is not very far from us.
No, Minitrista is not very far from you, and I wish I had known that. Except I wasn't going there in 2016, so.
Oh yeah, right, and we, depending, we might not even been open. So because we opened up November of 2016. So
I feel like probably our last trip there was 2011 or 12, somewhere around there.
Oh, okay, yeah,
it's been a little while.
Yeah, a little while. Yeah, things have changed a bit, but that's all right. Maybe you got an excuse to come now. So.
I am actually leaning that way. It sounds like a good trip for me and my friends.
Yeah, and like there's a cool craft scene. Savages is like the spot that we all go to after work. They've got an awesome tap list all the time. They always have the crazy Three Floyd stuff. The crazy just stuff that, I'm like, man, how do you guys get this? I wanted this, And then, again, Herat is like an institution at this point, and so and then us, Guardian, and then there's Northern Tropics, who's a little bit south of Muncie, but real small. I think he might be on a 3-barrel or so, but he's making killer beer also, and it's just like you could spend a day and hit a couple different spots, and good thing about Muncie is it's cheap, so
right. It's only an hour from Indianapolis.
Where Rob makes us go into the final question. Tell us a little bit about the kitchen, because I know a lot of my beer friends are foodies.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that I get to go with me to breweries that aren't necessarily beer people are foodies. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we've got we do barbecue, and we've got a pizza, like a decent sized pizza oven. And so weekends there's always barbecue, like steak specials, might be like a rib plate or something like that. But we've got this giant smoker out back that I think my favorite thing that we do is probably smoked wings. It's kind of ruined wings for me, maybe.
Yeah. They're so good.
Yeah, and so like our kitchen does a pretty good job with that. Our pizzas are pretty solid. And then throughout the week we do a daily special, and it'll be sometimes it's like breakfast for dinner kind of thing, or sometimes it's just something that the guys in the kitchen want to do. One of our guys in the kitchen, Chef D, he'll bring a lot of like family recipes in, and they're all just like killer stuff. There's stuff where I'm like, I don't even know if I'm gonna like this, but like I'll get it. And then I see him the next day. He's like, "What do you think about that?" I'm like, "Oh, that like changed my world." Like, I didn't really think I cared that much about like apples and sausage, but like that was absolutely amazing, And so it's fun, like being able to kind of like have a creative outlet for me for beer, and then seeing current, the daily special thing is like more of like a recent thing, and so like letting those guys kind of flex their creative muscles, I think is like I'm like I almost get like proud for them, It's like I don't have any hand in any of the food, but I'm like yeah, man, like these guys are like killing it, And so
do you guys ever work together on beer and food pairings?
Not so much pairings, but like I have had like we've had like they've done the graham crackers for me for like the key lime pie beer. They'll pretty much like we talked about doing it was a while back. I don't know if we'll even ever do it, but it was like the Biscoff cookies.
Yeah.
We're talking about doing like a stout or something with those, and one of our pastry chef in the kitchen's like, I can make those. Like, you don't even have to buy those. Like, I'll make you like trays of them. Okay, cool. And so like we did like a Oreo white stout a long time ago. They made the Oreos in house. They'll help us process fruits when we're doing like some weird fruited sour of some sort where we can't get the puree. And so it's cool. And then like there are times where I'm like, okay, like I've got this beer that I don't know what I'm going to do with. I was going to do this with it, but that was going to work out. And so I might just, bounce a couple ideas off of them of just like flavors. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's like, oh, well, I just saw, this on the internet and this seemed kind of like a cool idea. And I'm like, trendy. Okay. Like, let's do it. And, so it's, I'm so in the beer bubble that I sometimes don't really know what's going on in like the culinary world. And same thing with them. And so we can we'll maybe bounce some ideas off of each other. And same thing, like I said, we've got a full bar. So like a lot of the sours that like are on the list of like things I want to do are like based off of like flavor combinations that I've talked to with like our bartenders of like, oh yeah, like I didn't really, we did like a watermelon rosemary sour. I think I brought to Caleb's Sugar Creek, and that was based off of a conversation we had in the kitchen. They were joking about they saw like a TikTok or something that they called it a vegan steak, and it was a hunk of watermelon with rosemary on top of it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. And I'm like, I want to do a watermelon beer. Okay, we're going to do a vegan steak sour, whatever, Yeah. We ended up not really marketing it that way because the one beer festival we took it to were like, So I've got a vegan steak sour, and everyone's like, no. Like, no, it's watermelon. It's not actual, it's not like Impossible meat. It's not tofu. And so it just had to be, okay, it's just a watermelon rosemary sour. Like we won't go to marketing and, kind of thing on that.
I was in the IPA and dark beer tent. I think or IPA and weird beer tent.
Yeah.
But the sour tent was over on the other side. So I didn't really get to too many things. I had some
Wait,
good
they
beers,
had a
though.
tent called Weird Beer?
Well,
it was kind of unofficial, but it was.
Yeah,
it was there.
Scratch out of Southern Illinois had sent over. I can't even remember what it was. It was a style I had never had before. I think it was the only beer I checked into Untapped because of the style. But it was one of those beers that doesn't have any hops in it, and so it was
like a Gruit or something, maybe.
Yeah, one of those. Yes, a Gruit
like the navy bean soup beer. I'm never ever gonna forget that. I literally drank a beer one time that was the navy bean soup beer, and it tasted like navy bean soup.
Okay.
It was delicious for like this much.
Yeah. That's.
Are you familiar with Central State? They used to be in Indy.
I remember.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So we did a collab with them. It was before I was the head brewer, but we did a ketchup sour, a ketchup gyoza with them.
Oh, no.
It started off as a joke. So me and Tyler had this idea that we wanted to do a week of collabs. And so we did one with Black Circle, and then went down to Indy, did one with Black Circle, came back to Muncie, slept, and then we decided to head up north. And so we did Goshen, Burnham, and Bare Hands, maybe. I think that was the three of them.
That's a good swing.
Yeah. And Black Circle, Jesse, who owns Black Circle, he hates ketchup. And so Josh from Central State was giving him a hard time about it, and brought a bottle of ketchup in or something, and to gross him out, he squeezed a bunch of his mouth or something like that.
Yeah.
And Jesse was like, "Oh, okay, get out of my bar," And so at the time it was Jesse Rice, and his head brewer was Dan Gale. And so we did a beer with Central State after that little collab tour. It was a ketchup gyoza with rice and sweet Gale. And so and then we called it Red Circle. But Kuma's picked it up down in Fountain Square.
Yeah.
And we happened to be in there before a concert, and we're looking at the menu. I wasn't really looking at the beer menu, but I was with my brother. It's like, "Oh, you guys have a beer on." I'm like, "Oh, what do we have on? What do they have?" And I saw it was Red Circle, and I was like, "Oh, you should try it." And so the server comes up, and we all order, and he goes, "Oh, let me get a Red Circle," and she's like, "Do you know what that is?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I definitely do." And I was like, "Well, no, hold on, tell him what it is." And she's like, "I don't know, these weirdos decided to make a ketchup sour, and I don't really know. Some people said it goes decent with a burger, but I don't really know. I've not tried it." And my brother, being a good brother, was like, "Yeah, I'll try it." And he tried. He's like, "Yeah, it's not that bad." But we would take it to Beer Fest, and people would be like, "Let me get the sour," without reading. And they tried it, and they go, "Oh, okay, right on." I'm like, "Well, hey, come back. Can you read the full description?" They'd be like, No, what? It actually worked. Because it wasn't it wasn't super ketchupy. It was just a hint of it.
Okay.
But then the Burnham guys were like, "Let's make a mustard IPA, and we'll find someone else to do a burger beer, and we'll combine them all together."
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right, guys, I don't know. That might be too weird for me, even." So.
Did it happen?
So there is a limit.
No, we didn't do anything with no.
I'm sending messages to both you guys that we need to make that happen.
Every time I tell Steve or see Steve, he's like, "Do we need to do a collab?" Because it's been years. And it's like, "Oh yeah, for sure." That's kind of how the collab talks go.
Yeah.
We should do one. And we both agree we should do one, but then it's actually, putting forth. It's kind of the hard part.
Someone's got to wake up early and drive 2 hours.
Yeah, right. So I might maybe next time I see Steve, I'll be like, "What do you think about a mustard IPA, dude?"
Yeah, I'm gonna start sending messages. Hey, I heard that there was a mustard IPA that was gonna go with a ketchup.
Yeah.
And a burger.
I mean, back in the day though, Burnham did that wouldn't even be weird for them. You know, some of the stuff that they did. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think they did like a pork chop here at one point where they just like threw a bunch of pork chops in the boil. Like, all right, guys, like it was a decent smoky beer, but I'm like, I don't know if that was the move, but
it's hard to deal with the fat in the beer.
Yeah. But I mean, that's why, like, especially when we first opened, like, we were like just searching out Burnham beer because you never knew what, it's like you'd go to a store and first of all their labels were super cool. And then it's just like, wait, what's this? What's this? And, all right, start grabbing everything. And they usually like hit it too, it wasn't like, I love cucumber. They used to do a beer called Cuke Nukem. And I remember getting it and being like, that is a cucumber IPA. Holy crap. Like, this is exactly what this is supposed to be, There's very rarely with them that I was like, well, I don't know about this one.
Yeah, they've always been fun at beer festivals.
Yeah, definitely. And
I am going to do it. We are coming up on an hour, even though I really wanted to ask about the how long do you leave in conditioner.
Oh, ask it now. Just ask it.
Hey, Wendy, do you remember that beer share where we drank the sanitizer?
Yeah, I certainly do.
So apparently you can leave sanitizer in a bottle for a very long time. And it's
Really?
still drinkable. Well, we didn't drink much of it.
Okay.
I realized it was sanitizer at the first sip.
We did. Yeah. We figured it out pretty quick. This beer is
You're
really
like, that's
clear.
not.
In a beer bottle? Or like a growler? Or what
yeah. Okay. So I guess to give more of the story, because this is kind of important to the story. We were interviewing the head brewer. Ian. I don't think I could do his last name, even if I could remember it. But he was the head brewer at Pre-Nectar at the time.
Okay.
That this bottle was produced anyway, and this was one of the first ones off the line, and so he took them home and he cellared them in Nick the Brewer's cellar. So another guy for years. I don't remember how many years this one was down there. And so we did, it was a 3-hour interview. So it turned into 3 shows. If you are really bored and want to go back to that catalog, that
They're
one's audio
fantastic
only.
interviews.
Oh my goodness. We had so much fun and they were so great to talk to. Ian has been in the trenches. But yeah, one of the bottles that we opened was just sanitizer.
No.
Because it was early off the bottling line.
He passed it around, and we all, like, a couple of us took a drink, and we were like, that's not right. That is not.
At least it's food safe, right? Like,
Right.
And he's like, oh, you got one of the first bottles off the line. And Nick was so mad. He's like, I've cellared this for like 7 years for you.
He had even moved houses with it, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst. Yeah.
He moved multiple times because Ian had left the state to go somewhere else and then came back and like he was doing other stuff. So Nick had his, oh my gosh, it was so hilarious. The fact that we all drank it, not realizing that it wasn't, I'm pretty sure it was a mead.
Yeah. So the one that I saw, one, it's highly rated on your Untapped, and then 2, it was early on the list was the Symmetrical Flow with the whole letters after it.
Yeah.
But and it did have a mention to how long do you leave in conditioner. So can you tell us about that beer?
So you're Wendy, you were drinking an Evil Twin beer, right?
Yes.
Earlier, and so I'm a more so when I was at the liquor store, I was like a real big fan of them. I haven't had any of their stuff in a long time, just because I don't even know if they come around here anymore. Honestly,
I haven't seen their stuff recently.
Yeah, no. But they have those long titles. Like I think the one was like driving down the street on 71st and doing 75 or whatever. Like crazy titles like that.
Yeah.
And I think it was the How Long Do You Leave in Living Conditioner? Was a COVID beer, I believe, that like right around COVID area, and I was just mainly because I couldn't get a haircut. I was growing my hair out, and someone told me I had really healthy hair, but I should what you can do is you can use some like leave-in conditioner, and I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So I just like went to the store and bought one, randomly, and I had that thought, and then it made me laugh just as like a name. And so the original, like just the regular, how long do you leave in conditioner, was like a Mexican hot chocolate stout, which is like my favorite kind of stout probably. But I tried to go at it as like Evil Twin, and so I think we aged it on like barrel staves for like 4 months. I used 5 different peppers, 3 different kinds of vanilla, 2 different cocoa nibs, and I was like, I'm trying to make this like an Evil Twin beer essentially, and it turned out awesome. Like it was exactly the beer I wanted, but it was also something I obsessed about for like probably like 3 months. Like tasting it all the time, trying to get. I didn't want it to be super hot because I'm not really spicy. Like I'm not, I don't like spicy stuff, I guess. And I didn't, there was a lot of balance that I was trying to kind of achieve there. It turned out awesome. And we had a little 5-gallon barrel from like Journeyman, and I put some in there, and it just ended up going sour or something. And I was like, man, that sucks. Like, and we were joking about it. Like my assistant brewer at the time was like, what would you even call it? Like, well, it's just like barrel aged. How long do you leave in conditioner? And it's like, I mean, there's probably a better name. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. And then we got to how long do you leave in leave-in conditioner in a barrel? And so last year, having a new space, that was the first we were able to do full barrels, 55-gallon barrels. And so around this time last year, we were pulling nails at trying to figure out what we're going to do for our anniversary beer. And it was a Wild Turkey, maybe a Russell's Reserve barrel, was just kicking off a bunch of crazy cinnamon, just from the barrel, like not from the beer or anything. And the other barrel that we filled with that same base beer, we were super happy with. We thought the barrel came through like perfectly. It was one of those things where I'm like, man, I get to take credit for this. We didn't even do anything. We made a good beer. We put it in a barrel. We forgot about it for 8 months. And so the one that was kicking off cinnamon, I was like, you know what? We're going to do the Mexican hot chocolate stout. I was like, I think if we can get close, we'll call it barrel aged. How long do you leave in conditioner? And the assistant brewer at the time, that before JT was one of JT's buddies, who's still one of my good buddies also. I think we were maybe out at Savage's, one of the local spots here in town, and we were talking about it, and he's like, so you're going to call it, how long do you leave in leave-in conditioner and in a barrel, right? I was like, I don't know if we can fit that on a label. And so I gave it to the artist, and he's like, how bad do you want all of these words on this label? I'm like, well, yeah, we don't really have space for it, and I really like what you've done with the full label anyways. And so we just put the letters on there, and that was pretty much, people are like, what the hell is this?
It's a great legend, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just like it started off as like a stupid, shower thought or something like that, and then just evolved into something like, wait, we're really doing this? Like, what the heck? Come here.
That's awesome. Hey,
there's the puppy. Yeah, he's
just made my day.
He's getting a little rambunctious. Yeah, here you can see him a little better.
Oh, those ears.
Yeah. But yeah,
he was. The puppy's name?
His name's Watson.
Watson. Okay.
Yeah, he was doing really good sleeping until like the last 10 minutes, and then he started running around the house.
Yeah, that's a puppy.
Yeah.
Right when you don't want them to sleep.
We are going to do it. We are going to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's time. You have been wonderful. Thank you for so much time. So we are going to go into our final questions, and I will go ahead and ask my usual question. What was the last board game or card game that you played? Did you win?
Probably the last one. Man, I don't even know. There's like a kids version of Cards Against Humanity.
There are a few of those, yes.
And I don't remember what it was called. And I definitely didn't win because I usually try to let my niece win. My brother and his wife do not let her win.
Yes.
So
that's
I
proper
definitely
training.
didn't win though. Yes,
You're the proper uncle.
Yeah, right. Yeah, my brother's like, "Don't go easy on her," and I'm like, "Well, I mean, I don't know." Like, so yeah, that's probably the last card game I would say I probably played.
How old is she?
She is about to be 9.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
stop going easy on her.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
right.
she's ready
I'm
now.
a fantastic aunt, and my niece and nephew will tell you that I do not let them win.
Yeah.
When they win on their own.
Yeah. I think she called me out on it a couple times, so I kind of have to probably not do it anymore, But just I don't see her as much as I usually. I probably either of us want to, and so I'm just like, you can do whatever you want. You can win. It doesn't matter.
I'm currently on the Happy Salmon train. I really like that game, and it plays in like 5 minutes each time.
Okay,
but it's really active and fun, and especially fun with kids because they really get into it, and they might play more times than you want to play. But it's still it's a lot. So I will recommend Happy Salmon very strongly.
I was trying to figure out a Christmas gift recently, so there we go. I think you might have figured it out for me.
Well, it might be a little.
Hopefully, she doesn't listen to us.
Rainbow Pirates.
Rainbow
Pirates is an amazing game. I love it. That was from my niece and nephew. And just so you know, I live 10 minutes at most from my niece and nephew, and I still don't see them enough. So I totally get that.
Yeah.
They're amazing. So my question is, let's see, what do I want it to be today? What beer, if I'm coming into your brewery tomorrow, what beer should I try?
Yeah, that's a really hard question, honestly. Because usually,
it doesn't matter what I like. What beer
you knew exactly what I was going to say because I was like, that's always my answer. Is like, so what are you in the mood for? What do you like?
Drives me insane. I don't want to hear that. Tell me what beer you think I should try.
If you came in tomorrow, I would say Citronaut or House IPA is always solid. Again, we've got a electrolyte sour on, which is maybe weird enough that I would be interested in. But more than likely, because it's what I drink mostly, it would be a Citronaut. JT would probably tell you our light lager, Legends and Lowlives, if he was here, but he doesn't count. So whatever, you can just drink Citronaut.
Technology won't
got
work
it in
for
there
him.
anyway, so it's all good.
right, yeah. And if you come in tomorrow, you might see him. So there you go.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you, Seth. It has been absolutely wonderful. Appreciate the time. Do you have anything coming up that you want to plug or let people know about?
No, not necessarily. We've got our 9th anniversary coming up, middle of November. I think I'm going to be able to at least release a barrel-aged beer for the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. We'll probably only have maybe a half barrel of it, but last year it stuck around for a couple weeks, so it's not like you gotta, skip the family and come in. You can come in the next weekend or the weekend after, and you still probably would try it. And yeah, other than that, come to Muncie. That's kind of the main plug. We don't do a whole lot of distribution. We've got a few little, kegs sprinkled around, but to get the whole vibe, come out on a weekend, live music, some pretty good food, probably some sort of funky food special for the night. So, and you get to try our beer, so that's fun too. And if you don't like our beer, you can go to like 10 other places that also all have good beer. So.
Right. Wendy, do you have?
Will like your beer.
Wendy, do you have anything coming up that you want to plug?
No, the only thing I have coming up is that cruise. But I did find breweries at every port that I'm going to be at, so you'll see something about that.
That's some good planning.
You'll hear something about that or whatever. Some of them I have to take buses to, some of them I have to take taxis to, and some of them I just have to figure out how to get there.
All right. I at the end of November, I'm going to be in Hocking Hills, Ohio. which I don't know much about and have not looked into the beer scene there yet.
Love it.
But I'm pretty sure I will be driving by Jungle Jim's on my way home. On my way home. I will make it on my way home.
Yeah.
Even though it is not on my way home.
Jackie O's is nearby.
Is it?
It's nearby Hocking Hills, yeah.
Well, that has made me way more interested in this trip all of a sudden.
Hocking Hills is beautiful, whether you go to the breweries or not. I think there is a Hocking Hills Brewing, which is where I went. But the next day I was really sick. And
unrelated.
It was like it was unrelated. I'm 100% sure.
Yeah.
It was the first time after COVID that I had been out in public.
Oh yeah. That'll
besides my job and my house. So I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Yeah.
But I got to hike like 2 of the hikes, and then I spent the time in bed while my friends were hiking.
Yeah, I'm actually going for a wedding, so I don't know how much hiking I'm going to get to do or how much I'm going to get to experience the area, but I'm still looking forward to it. It's going to be beautiful.
There's a couple of distilleries there that are fun to go to as well.
All right. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to this more now. I've talked about it. Other than that, we are off for 2 weeks, and then on the 14th, we have Broken Clock Brewing Cooperative
awesome
on our schedule. So that is likely who we'll be talking to. And Wendy and I have been talking about trying to get out some bonus content, so we will see if we can make that happen too. Because that would be fun.
Before we go on our separate trips.
Break. Yeah. Yes, exactly. All right. So once again, thank you, Seth. It has been great. And we will end our show like we end every show and say, whatever you think of your beer, we think it's better on draft.
Cheers.